So-called ethical vegans advocate rights considered inalienable when limited to humans for animals. Should you object to that, then you are a speciesist. That word was popularized in the 1970s by Richard Ryder and Peter Singer. Singer identified speciesism as a prejudice in favor of the interest of members of your own species against those members of other species. It sounds crazy, granting rights to animals, but before you dismiss it, consider the following. Number one, implicit attribution of personality to non-human things has been around for a long time. Rights have been granted to waterways. Paul Robeson appeared to understand it.
River, that old man river, he must know something.
Myth makers have forever anthropomorphized non-human things and continue to do so. In 1886, the Supreme Court formally recognized corporate personality, and more recently, a majority of 9 unelected justices ruled in the Citizens United case that corporations, among other organized groups, are persons and as such cannot be denied individual human rights, such as those embodied in the Bill of Rights. Second point to consider, vegans advocate application of rights only to sentient beings. Sentient is defined as something responsive to or conscious of sense impressions. Another word would be aware. Third point to consider. Some heavyweight intellectuals favor animal rights. An example, Richard Dawkins. He argues that the human embryo is less able to feel pain than, say, the family dog. He argues again that if the missing link in the chain of intermediaries between modern man and pre-Homo sapien is ever found, then we'd be directly linked to the chimpanzee, and that with that link established, we'd no longer be speciesist. A fourth point to consider is the obvious barbaric treatment of animals in corporate meat and dairy production and in research. A fifth point to consider is the obvious but unacknowledged contradiction between our loving the family pet while eating its very close and probably more sentient cousin. Arguments against granting animal rights, however, need to be heard. One is that ethical vegans over-romanticize animals. They attribute to them human characteristics, empathetic feelings for others, when all evidence shows in historical writings, in archaeological findings, in observation of animals in captivity and free, that the animals, divide basically as predators and prey. We're a long way from the day when the wolf, as Isaiah says in the Bible, shall also dwell with the lamb. Something else to consider is that word sentient. It has no exact definition. It lacks parameters. And that has allowed some people today to argue that even plants feel. And that has prompted others to suggest that you and I should not eat anything, that we should become breatharians. Now, shouldn't that give any thinking person pause when considering any ethical vegan proposal? Ethical vegans appear to be tutored more by a world that they desire, that it's in their head, but not a world as it has existed for millennia and continues to exist and will continue to exist. If they get their way, society faces this tomorrow. All to be introduced by the obligatory Netflix documentary revealing the true ethical vegan agenda. Thanks for viewing. Do not, I repeat, do not fail to subscribe.